Mike Tyson's rematch with Jake Paul is scheduled for November 15th. However, according to recent sources, Tyson's bout with Paul may not go as planned since the former undisputed heavyweight champion must undergo extensive medical testing. Health problems forced the first fight to be postponed, raising questions about Tyson's eligibility to enter the ring. The fight's outcome is still unknown as Tyson needs to pass stringent health examinations to prove he is ready to take on an opponent almost 30 years his junior. The Texas Department of Licensing Regulation is adamant about protecting against any potential harm to the aging boxer in November. As stated by Tange, head of communications at Tador Management, to World Boxing News, the fight is still scheduled to take place 8 rounds over 2 minutes each, with 14-ounce gloves. As I believe I've previously stated, the department will continue to monitor the health of the fighter. The TVLR stressed that while having a fighting license has its benefits, it does not guarantee that you will be in the match. If Tyson is found to be dangerous prior to the bout, he can be banned. Paul is subject to the same rules as Tyson's most recent match was in 2020 amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, when he faced off against Roy Jones Jr. in an exhibition match. However, the upcoming bout marks a significant shift, as it will be Tyson's inaugural return to the professional ring since his memorable retirement on the stool during a match with Kevin McBride in 2005 after a crushing defeat at the hands of Danny Williams. He found himself a mere echo of his former self as his career drew to a close, yet nearly 2 decades later, he stands poised, feeling rejuvenated and confident that he can put on a stellar show against Paul. Tyson told the world, "Although we had to postpone the fight, I will resume training shortly. I am thankful to the medical staff that treated me, and to MVP Netflix, and T Stadium for working diligently to find the best rescheduled date for all parties. While we have a new date, the result will be the same no matter when we fight. Jake is getting knocked out." However, fans are expressing concern for the former undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. After his latest video announcement, in the video, he revealed that the new date for his event is November 15th. Coinciding with the release of a highly anticipated Netflix series on X-Fans, we're left wondering about Tyson's readiness, as he got ready to walk into the ring against a professional fighter nearly 3 decades after he said that it was a new day, but with the same outcome, and that he would knock out Jake Paul. So far, his junior fear reigns as others consider how this fight would affect the double-tile boxing scene. The match will have fewer rounds, shorter bouts, and heavier gloves in an effort to protect Victor, who hasn't entered the ring since 2020 and has been out of professional competitions for almost 2 decades, from any health issues like dementia. Meanwhile, Mike Tyson's close friend Jeff Fenech sends a strong message to Jake. Paul Tyson's current level of fitness exceeds even that of his peak 2 decades ago, when he was the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Jeff Feldknapp, Tyson's mentor, saw the abrupt end of a remarkable boxing journey as Tyson prepared for his professional match after so many years. Tyson looks formidable, sending shivers down the spine of anyone facing him. Though nothing is set in stone, a former NFL standout has thrown his hat into the ring as a potential contender for Tyson's next bout should the legendary boxer opt to prolong his unlikely return to the sport after being hailed as an elite in the NFL. Paul expressed his shock at the magnitude of the challenge ahead, saying, "If it were my decision, I'd much prefer him to not fight at all, but he's going to fight." But Tyson's recent ulcer flare-up at the age of 57, coupled with the increased intrigue surrounding his match against Paul, have made many supporters eager to learn about Tyson's post-fight intentions. Le'Veon Bell's exceptional rushing abilities allowed him to dominate the field. Bell's skill was demonstrated when he played football alongside greats like Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady while he was a member of the Buccaneers. However, after switching from touchdowns to knockouts, Bell moved to the arena and began boxing professionally. With Mike Tyson as his most recent opponent, he is now aiming for the pinnacle of the sport. Despite having only 3 fights under his belt, Bell, who is 32 years old, recently reached out on social media to request a sparring session with Tyson. Bell lost his professional debut in 2022 against former MMA star Uriah Hall, but won his next 2 fights. Bell informed Tyson, however, Bell will have to wait till Mike Tyson is finished with Jake Paul if he is truly serious about taking on Mike Tyson. Spare me, Mike, MMA, as he attacks the YouTuber. Contender Dylan Dennis claims to have inside knowledge of why Mike Tyson's bout with Jake Paul was postponed. Unleashed a vicious tirade on Paul for his stubborn refusal to give up on his desire to fight Tyson, and the American boldly suggested that he had inside knowledge of the reasons for the postponement. Jake Paul, you're truly AHE for knowing what he's going through and not ending this UFC icon. Dana said, I know the reason Mike Tyson had to postpone the fight. I spoke to his close friend, and like Dana White, said he knows but doesn't want to get involved in respect to Mike. It's truly very sad what's going on. Destroying Jackson has accurately predicted the results of the much-awaited bout between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. As we all know, the 2 fighters' stark age differences have drawn criticism. Paul shouldn't enter the ring with Tyson. According to some, however, worry that a possible loss may damage Tyson's illustrious career. Destroying in a recent Jackson podcast episode, Rampage talked about the topic with guests Jason Mayhem Miller and Luke Rockhold. Miller expressed their doubts, and Jackson is endorsing Tyson because he believes that Iron has been boxing for longer than Paul has been alive. Rampage remains steadfast in his belief that Mike Tyson will prevail in 2 rounds. Considering that Mike Tyson has been boxing for longer than Jake Paul has been alive, and that there is a viral video of an older white man beating up a younger white man, that is what I believe will happen. Chaos when Miller asked if Tyson would be able to continue fighting at this age, Rampage responded, Jake Paul will probably give up by then. He won't make it that far. Meanwhile, UFC legend Dan Hardy isn't sure if Paul and Tyson will fight. Even though Hardy wasn't sure about the matchup, he called Paul a mastermind marketer for choosing Tyson to face next. He added, this for me is Jake Paul. Hardy doubted that the battle would really start before it was pushed back. He said, it's a weird matchup. I'll be honest, I'll be surprised if it actually happens. I think there are a lot of days between now and then for something to happen and the fight to not take place. The mastermind marketer lost some steam in the limelight after he engaged in a few battles with folks no one was really interested in. Hardy continued, saying that fighting Mike Tyson would be the best way for Jake Paul to re-enter the conversation. Everyone has an opinion on this fight, including whether or not it should take place, whether Mike Tyson can defeat Jake Paul, and whether